I inherited the mechanical bent that my father had and that his father had for making things and fixing things that were broke. So I always had enough mechanical projects around to keep me challenged. So as 11 years old, I built a go-kart out of an old lawnmower engine and a wagon that I had. And it was faster than any of the dogs in town. I could outrun anybody on a bicycle. It was geared real high, didn't climb hills very good, but it would go like thunder in the flat or going downhill. So I was always thinking of ways that I could challenge myself by making something that would give me an option to co-locate better than my contemporaries. When I was 15 years old, I anticipated my first car, and I built my first automobile engine by myself to power a junkyard car that I'd been gifted. I had a 51 Ford that I'd got from an employer. I was working for a paint shop for fixing cars that were wrecked. When I started work for him, I had a little Rambler that had a knock in the engine, and Dad had picked that out for me because it would be safe and slow. And I traded up for a 51 Ford two-door sedan with a V8, 100 horsepower. And it was faster than most of the cars that the kids had that were my age. And there was a youngster a year older than me called Jim Bob Jenkins. And he had a 41 Chevrolet with they'd taken a 217 cubic inch Chevrolet stock engine out and put a 300 cubic inch GMC truck engine in. On a Friday evening, I'm driving away from the little town that we were living in at the time, Manchester, Ohio. I was driving from that to an adjoining community to have a date with a girl that I'd been working on for about 6 months. We're going to go have a light meal and then go to a movie. And in the car by myself, driving up the road in the country, come around the corner and there's Jim Bob in his 41 Chevrolet. And of course I pull out to pass him because I'm going faster than he is, and he speeds up. And I slow down to get behind him because I didn't have any, I was all cleaned up and the car was all cleaned up. Getting involved in a race and getting all sweaty wasn't something that I had in mind. And when he sped up, that was it. But here we go up through the country, left and right, winding road. To the left was a tributary that emptied into the Ohio River. There was no guardrail, and I was probably 85 or 90 miles an hour. And Jim Bob loses the nose of his car. I only need 6 inches to pull in front of him. And he loses the nose of his car and bumps me in the quarter panel. I slide over a little bit to give him some more room, and I get on the rocks on the berm on the side of the road. And the cars, I didn't realize it at the time, but they'll speed up when you get them on the berm. They go faster than they would on the pavement. And so I'm sliding down the side of the road here, 90 miles an hour, going to go into the creek, which is 10 to 15 feet below the elevation of the road. And God's on my shoulder. And he says, "Boy, you better hang on, it's going to spin." So I grabbed the top of the steering wheel. The steering wheel had only 2 spokes to the rim. I broke it by pulling the top part to me, and I broke it by pushing the bottom part away from me. It pinned me in the seat, and the car slid over a piece of concrete that was on the top of a tube that went under the road for carrying some more runoff water from the hillside to the tributary. And when it hit the little concrete button, the rocker panel of the car was thrust in the air. Couldn't believe how quiet it was up there. The car spinning like a football that somebody has thrown. And same God says to me, he says, "Boy, you better brace yourself. It's going to hit on its roof." So I turned loose of the steering wheel, pushed my hands as hard as I could into the roof. The thing slammed down on the creek bed, mashed the roof on the passenger side down to the top of the seat, tore the door off the first time it flew over, tore the hood off. Any place you touched that car with your hand that was 6 inches in diameter would be broken, missing, or bent. When it was finished, it stopped upright. Well, my door had been flapping back and forth. It says, "Come on, we're going to get you. Come on over here." And I held myself in the seat. When it stopped, I had a little battery acid on my face from a busted battery. I had no cuts, had no bruises, didn't have any injuries of any kind, and no seatbelt. So I survived that. That was my first wreck in my first car. My dad took my driver's license for a year. He thought that I needed some more time to grow up before he'd trust me in a car again. And that gave me a time to build a faster car. I was so tore up with the thing that happened with my wreck that I never called her to tell her I wasn't coming. She never called me to ask me why. I stood her up.